Hi everyone, I'm Kara Suboy.
And I'm Patrick Wixton.
And welcome to Junos Connect, your one-stop video source for all things Junos.
On today's show, we have Junos CLI expert Mike Messina here to share some tricks for making configuration changes with no downtime.
And we'll take data center architecture to the whiteboard for a tech talk session with expert Rob Cameron.
But first, it's time for viewer email.
And many of you have asked about mobile resources for Junos. What are some of your recommendations, Patrick?
We have Juniper books available as iPhone apps, and we also have a free iPhone SRX utility tool.
I like the sound of free, because wouldn't you agree that our phones are virtual offices these days?
That's right, and to that end we launched a JNet mobile experience. So you can access JNet on any mobile phone that's completely optimized, it's completely free, and there's no app to install.
Even easier, I like that.
And if you check it out now, you can actually enter to win an iPod Touch.
And one of the things on JNet that you may want to check out on your smartphone is our new Tech Cafe Virtual Symposium on April 14th and 15th. Juniper security experts will be hosting a global round-the-clock exchange on functionality, best practices, tips and tricks. So if you have a security question, this is where to get the answer. Look for details on JNet. Want to know how the Junos CLI can help minimize your downtime? Coming up next, we'll show you how you can make configuration changes without rebooting. The JNet community has gone mobile. Join the conversation with our all-new mobile community platform. It doesn't matter which mobile device you use, you'll get the same great JNet features wherever you are, and there's no application to install. Go to forums.juniper.net on your mobile browser and join the mobile conversation. Hello and welcome back to Junos Connect, your video source for all things Junos. I'm Kara Suboy. Do you want to minimize the risk of operator error when making configuration changes? Joining us today is Mike Messina, Juniper Systems Engineer, to show us some Junos CLI tips to keep you up and running. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. What are you going to be showing us today?
Well, I'm going to get into configuration mode on a J-series router. I'm going to show you some Junos features that will help you to avoid some of those configuration errors.
Great.
And also ways to recover quickly from downtime when it does occur.
Okay, where are we going to start?
Well, we're in configuration mode here now on the J-series. We can see a bit of our current configuration, and I'm going to make some changes.
Okay.
So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disable a physical interface. I'm also going to delete our telnet service. Okay, so now we've made some changes. One thing that's really important to note here, though, is that as I made these changes, none of these changes are active on the active configuration on the router. We're actually editing something called the candidate configuration. So what this is basically a snapshot that's taken of the active configuration when we enter configuration mode. If you think about the way a traditional networking operating system works, essentially as you type out your changes, you hit the enter key, those changes take effect immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah, so that could cause some problems if you had, say, a dependency on an access list that you hadn't configured yet. Mm-hmm. So with Junos, we have something called the commit model. It's a batch configuration model. So what that does, it allows us to enter in as many changes as we like. We can go ahead and then review those changes. And then we can, none of those changes will actually take effect until we type the word commit. So in this case, what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and review the changes that we've made. So we're going to do that with the show pipe compare command. So that gives us some output here that's basically showing us the changes that we've made to the candidate configuration versus what's running on the active configuration on the box right now. This way we can review the changes, we can see if we've done anything that's wrong, possibly going to cause us some problems. In this case, we say, okay, we're okay with these changes, we're going to go ahead and commit.
And then that'll change it on the active configuration.
That will activate the configuration changes. However, there's one thing that's happening first. Junos has a safeguard in place here. It's called a commit check. So it's actually doing things like looking for those broken dependencies that we talked about. So if you had a dependency on an access list or something like that you haven't configured, it's not going to allow it. So you're going to get a commit failure, and Junos is also going to provide you some output, some sort of an error message to tell you what's wrong. So it's possible, though, that we might have, Junos might have allowed the commit. In this case, our commit's complete. But we might have still changed something that might affect our production network traffic. So in that case, we'd want to leverage the rollback command.
Is that like an undo feature, a Control-Z almost?
Yeah, very much so. So in this case, rollback 1 is actually going to pull in our previous active configuration. And once we commit that configuration, that will then bring us back to the state we were before and allow us to undo those changes. So one other really important feature is the commit confirmed feature. So it's quite possible if you're working remotely on a device, and a lot of IT folks can really relate to this, you're working on a device remotely late at night, you make some change to that device, and suddenly you found that you've locked yourself out.
Ooh, no
And
good.
That's going to result in probably a midnight drive out to the remote office.
Has this happened to you?
Unfortunately, it has.
Okay, but this can solve that, you're saying?
Absolutely. So
Great.
with Junos, we have the commit confirmed command. So with commit confirmed, as you'll see on the CLI output, essentially what's happening is Junos is committing the configuration. So the changes are becoming active on the router. However, Junos is going to pause basically and wait a specified amount of time. If it doesn't hear back from us as the network operator within that period of time, it's going to go ahead and roll back to the last active configuration, which is going to restore our access to the box.
Because it may assume that you are indeed locked out.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you so much, Mike. For more information about the Junos CLI, you can download a copy of our Day 1 booklet, Exploring the Junos CLI on Junos Central. Are you looking to simplify data center operations? Stick around. Rob Cameron will take you to the whiteboard with tips on how to consolidate. The new network is going to demand a new kind of IT professional. It's going to demand your creativity, your vision, your knowledge. Junos will be the platform for new network innovation, and it'll be more important than ever to keep pace. Getting Junos certified is going to give you the skills you need. It'll help you see your new network vision through. It'll set you apart from the competition. Juniper's Fast Track program is designed to help you get started at your convenience. The new network is about you. Hello and welcome back to Junos Connect. I'm Kara Suboy. Security architecture in the data center is a hot topic. Our own Patrick Wickstrom is standing by to whiteboard the solution with Juniper security expert Rob Cameron.
What kind of solutions does Juniper have in this area?
Well, the biggest thing that's happening right now is security consolidation in the data center. Let's take your average data center design and draw a couple core switches. And then just a two-tier switch by bringing up a few edge switches. Now we won't draw out everything because we just want to have some concepts here shared. And in this case, what we're going to have a distributed security model where we have several firewalls at the core because you need to share a load across them because your typical firewall device isn't able to handle the type of capacities that you need in a data center. We'll have a firewall example down here in front of an individual application and perhaps even an IPS device over here on an upstream link. Now in this case, you have firewall and security distributed throughout your network. But the challenge here is being able to manage these devices and having fault isolation in case there was something that happens. Now, if you, for example, were to lose this IPS, you would have to go and troubleshoot this individual area, have this link brought down, bring it up, and maybe have this be a different vendor from this guy. Also, how do you reroute traffic around it? It's something that people really get worried about. So Juniper created this product called the SRX. And the SRX is a big and fast firewall that can easily fit into any data center core. And what's nice about it is you can consolidate firewalls and say, eliminate this guy over here. And then now we're able to take his traffic, bring it through the SRX, and take it over to the individual servers. We can then go ahead and say, take away this guy, and take his traffic, and bring it over to this device. Now you can do this one at a time without having to go ahead and compromise the integrity of your network by trying to do a single cutover very quickly.
What about performance from a single server like there's an SRX here?
Well, the SRX is designed with a scalable services model. You can start with one blade, which provides you a certain amount of performance, and scale up to 11 in their fastest device. That's up to 120 gigabits per second in testing that we do, or in real world, we've seen up to 150 gigabits, depending on packet size, rate, things like that. So that's the nice part, is when you initially buy the product, you don't have to have a hard investment of lots of dollars. So over time, you can grow with the product.
So what about scalability then long term, right? So because a single SRX still will run out of time or run out of speed at some point.
Oh, absolutely. That can always happen. I mean, in a typical data center environment, you'll see 120 gigs is way too much for that location. But in the future, you may want to go ahead and deploy an active-active cluster. So that way you can split your traffic, some here and some over here, and then get double that amount of throughput. Now, in that case, you not only have the capabilities of having more throughput, but also availability by splitting the traffic between the two. So it's really up to you. The SRX is kind of like the Erector set of firewalls. You can build your own device and build your own capacities, interface densities, whatever you want to do to meet the needs of your data center. So it's not like you have to build your data center around my product. You build the product around your data center.
This is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that customers have really adopted, not only in the data center, but in the service provider spaces as well, just because of the capacity and performance.
Wow, great. Thanks, Rob, for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
So if you liked what you just saw, Rob will get more in-depth at a live event later in April. Check Junos Central for more information. That's about it for this show, but remember, if you have a Junos-related question you'd like us to answer, or recommendations for what you would like to see in the next show, send it to jnet@juniper.net, or simply leave a reply to the Junos Connect thread. Thank you so much for watching. For Patrick Wickstrom, I'm Kara Suboy. We'll see you next time right here on Junos Connect.